Welcome back to my channel, artists. Today we are going to be making a yarn rug weaving. This will be a yarn type of weaving. Step number 1, grab a piece of cardboard and measure some lines. If you don't have a ruler, you can do what I'm doing, just making sure that they're about as wide as my finger. That's a really good kind of width. It is important to check the numbers. I have 6 on each side, and then I'm going to cut the notches, step number 2. So I want to cut them enough that when I put my yarn in, that my yarn will kind of hold on and not fall off of those notches. So I'm going through and cutting those notches pretty deep just to make sure that I can get my yarn inside. Now I'm using a piece of cardboard that's about 5 inches by 4 inches, but you can use cardboard that's any size. If you have Amazon boxes at home, you're welcome to grab those and kind of cut them up. Step 3, wrap your yarn on the loom. I'm going to do this wrong the first time, so be prepared. You're going to take a little tail like I've done, and then you're going to go up and back, up and down to make your loom. A lot of people want to just go front to back in a very kind of spiral pattern. It feels easy and fun, but it's actually not, because you're going to have to cut the back side when you go to take your weaving off of the loom. So I'm going to take this yarn off here and then do it the correct way. To wrap my loom correctly, I am going to have like a 4-inch tail in a notch, just like I did before, but instead of going down, I'm going to go across on the back, and then down the front, sideways on the back, down on the front, sideways on the back. And when you do that, one side will be basically empty of yarn, and the other side will have the lines that go up and down. That's when you know you've done it correctly and you're going to have that loom. If you do it incorrectly, you'll just have to have to cut the back side and tie fringe on it to make it work properly. Number 4, cut 6 feet of one color of yarn. So for mine, I'm using a dark gray color, and I'm going to cut the yarn for that. Step number 5 is optional. You can tie your yarn to a yarn needle. If you don't have a yarn needle, you don't have to do this. I'm sticking my yarn into it. You can just kind of fold yarn and pull it through. It will eventually pull through. That's what I love about yarn needles. You're going to tie it one time. You do that crisscross tie like you do for your shoes and pull it down, and then do it a second time to make your knot. Step number 6, you're going to weave with an over-under pattern. So you can see how with a needle it's a little bit easier. I'm going to go over, or under, over, all the way through, and I'm going to pull my yarn. Don't pull your yarn all the way out. You want to leave that 4 or 5 inch tail that I left with the white yarn. You're going to want to leave a little bit of a tail with that color yarn as well. Step number 7, weave the next row opposite. You want to go, so if you come from the left side, you're going to start on the left side again and come backwards, but you want to go opposite. I'm going to do this row wrong just to show you what happens. You notice how both rows look the same. They look really fun. It looks nice and neat, but as you pull through, you're going to notice a big problem happens. If you've done them the same, it'll just come out. It's kind of an obvious way for you to know if you've done it wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and fix my first row under, over, pulling almost all the way, leaving that little end piece of string on the end. Then I'm going to, since I left on the left, or since I finished on the left, I'm going to start, but this time I'm going to do opposite. If I was under to begin with, I'm going to start over. So you can see how they look opposite, almost like alternating brick patterns like you might see on a house. That's the kind of opposite that you're going to see. Step number 8, you're going to continue weaving opposite all the way up. So you notice I ended under. I'm going to start my next row over, keep going back and forth those opposite ways. Remember, it's going to be really obvious if you forget an opposite, because your whole row could come undone. I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead until I'm finished with this dark gray yarn. Step number 8, push down the yarn. I'm going to actually first cut my needle off of the yarn since I'm all finished with it, and I'm going to push it all the way down. It's kind of depressing at first when you push it down, but if you feel it, it's nice and soft and flush and feels really great. Step number 9, attach more yarn. So I've got a different color. It could be the same color if you'd like, or different. I want to make some stripes in mine, so I'm going to have a white and gray striped rug. So I'm going to tie those together. If you need an adult to help you, you're welcome to do that. And then I'm going to continue weaving. I finished under with my gray, so I'm going to start over with the white. Remember, still doing those opposites every other row. Go ahead and skip to the end where I have filled up my entire loom with yarn for step number 11, remove the yarn from the loom. So what you're going to do is you're actually just going to actually unpeel all of those little notches and take the loom off. Now you've got all these little frayed edges. You can, anything that's been tied in a knot, you can cut, and anything that has not been tied in a knot, you can have an adult help you if you need to. And you just kind of want to make everything look nice and neat and tidy. If it's a little bit loose, kind of tighten it up a little bit, not some of those edges, or not some of those extra strings on there, just to make sure everything looks nice and beautiful. I hope you have enjoyed learning how to make a yarn rug with weaving techniques. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can keep up to date on all the fun and fantastic things that we are doing in the art classroom. What will you create?